This is brewed in Holland and it is highly hoppy and it's got sugars and jaggery sort of a finish to it. And although it just says 8% ABV, this one can knock you down. So it's something that I really like.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're here in the Golden Anchor in South Goa and we're going to be checking out a huge collection of beers today. We're going to learn the prices, we're going to learn about beers. We are going to meet Mr. Aditya, who's a master in alcohol. So he's going to be explaining to us the difference between stout beers, pale ales, IPA, all these things which will go over our head. So he's going to explain to us all these important things. Not only that, we're going to tell you the prices of ready to drink like cocktails, and we're going to do breezers and stuff like that, guys. So anyway, let's go and check out all the latest prices.
Hi guys, welcome to Golden Anchor. Last episode you saw that we did 180 ml and 200 ml and the 2-liter bottles. In this episode we are going to do all the beers that we have at our store. Before we get into the various types of beers and the prices, let's first talk about what a beer actually is. Beer is nothing but an alcoholic beverage, fermented alcoholic beverage that's made of 4 ingredients only: grain, hops, water and yeast. Now depending on what yeast is used or the process in which the beer is fermented, we can broadly classify or categorize beers into 2 types: lagers and ales. Lagers use a particular method where the fermentation happens at the bottom of the vat. So they use bottom fermenting yeast. This yeast acts or ferments a little slower. As a result, you get a more crisp beer. An example of a lager is Kingfisher Ultra. So let's talk about lagers. What do we have? The regular beers that we all drink which are crisp: Corona, Asahi, Kingfisher Premium, Kingfisher Draft, Kingfisher Ultra, Budweiser. They are all lagers. They are crisp. They only have a malt taste to it, little bitterness from the hops, but they are not very flavorful, or their flavors are not pronounced, you can say. On the other hand, you have the ales. Ales use a top fermenting sort of a yeast which brews at a higher temperature, resulting in more flavor that comes out of it. Here we have some of the examples of the ales. We have a wheat beer, it's a wheat ale. We have a IPA, which is India Pale Ale, a stout and a Trappist style beer. A wheat beer is nothing but an ale that has 51% wheat grain. It need not be 100%. It can be 80% wheat, 20% malted barley. That's fine, but it needs to be a maximum or 51% at least minimum use of wheat grain in making this. Now this wheat beer that we are looking at is a Belgian style wheat beer, and traditionally a Belgian style wheat beer has 2 basic components or ingredients that are used other than the wheat itself. They have orange peel and coriander. So when you say a Belgian style wheat beer, you know that these are the 2 main ingredients that will be there in this beer. Other than that, the brewmaster is free to add whatever flavor he wishes to add to make his beer a little better or a little more unique from the others. An IPA is India Pale Ale. This is the highest or the hoppiest beer that you will get with high bitterness scale. So people who like bitter beers should go for this one. Although it says bitter and it has high bitterness unit, it also has a wonderful aroma which is very fruity with tropical fruits bursting out. Next we have the stout. A stout uses a percentage of unmalted roasted barley and huge quantity of roasted malted barley. What this does is the roasting makes these gets in flavors which are of toffee and chocolate and sometimes vanilla and coffee. So these are dark black beers which have a nice body but also feel nice in your mouth. And then we finally come into the Trappist style beers. Now these are slightly sweeter and have a higher alcoholic content, like probably 7 to 8% ABV. We're going to cover each of them as we go through the various types. Now these are just for examples that I'm giving you to understand that we have different types of beers. We have a huge collection of wheat beers or a collection of stouts, which we will go forward and look into the details and the prices of it. So these are the lager pints that we've got. We have Tuborg Green, which is 45 rupees, Kingfisher Premium 45 rupees, Beck Size, this is 50 rupees, Budweiser 60 rupees, Kingfisher Ultra 60 rupees, Copter 7 Smooth 60 rupees, Konig's Lager, now this is a beer from Bhutan, this is 75 rupees, Heineken 80 rupees, and Corona is 100 rupees. Since last year it was bottled in Maharashtra, and then the prices come down from 125 to 100 rupees now. What we have here is some of the lagers that are made by the craft breweries of Goa and of India, and some other beers that I'll tell you about. Let's start with the Bira Blonde. This is 50 rupees for a lager by Bira. And we have Simba Light, which is 60 rupees. And this is Goa Brewing Company's latest edition, the People's Lager, which is made with German Pilsner malt and Goa's heirloom rice. So it's something that's selling like hotcake right now. It's just 70 rupees. We then come to the Shandy from Makadi. Shandy is just basically lemonade and lager. You mix the two. It's low alcoholic content, and it's very easy to drink in the afternoons. We then come to Makadi's Bavarian. The price of this is 70 rupees. Then we go to Makadi's Bavarian Keller. Now it's a Keller beer, which means it follows the rule of Reinheitsgebot, which means it's allowed to use only 3 ingredients. No other additional resource. This is just 90 rupees. We then go to Susegado's Dortmund Lager, which is 140 rupees. Then we have the Belgian triple from Makadi. A triple is basically nothing but using 3 times this amount of malt for the same amount of beer that is brewed. It results in a stronger ABV and a very malty taste, and little on the sweeter side as well. Then we have the extremely dry lager from Japan, Asahi. This is 170 rupees. And an Italian lager, this is Peroni, 230 rupees. What we have here are the wheat beer pints available at our store. Let's start with what we've got here. This is Kingfisher Ultra Wheat. This is 75 rupees. Then we have the Simba Wheat, which is 75 rupees. This is White Owl Wheat, which is 75 rupees. And then we have the White Owl Spike, which is also a wheat beer but a strong wheat beer, which is again 75 rupees. Okay, now if you consider, and let's go to Goa Brewing Company's Wheat Ale, which is 85 rupees. Now if you look at these as a broad category, these are all Belgian style wheat beers, which means they focus more on coriander and orange zest. Now let's moving forward, we go to the Arbor Bangalore Bliss and Arbor Easy Rider. Both are 95 rupees, but the Bangalore Bliss is a German style wheat beer, which means it's actually called a Hefeweizen. A Hefeweizen has a specific yeast called the Hefe yeast, which produces flavors like banana and clove. So it's slightly on the sweeter side and a sweet spice of clove. And then we have Easy Rider, which is an American style wheat beer, which is only citric forward. So you will have some orange zest, some lemon zest. These are the flavors you will get out of these. Hoegaarden is again a Belgian style wheat beer, which is 100 rupees. This was 125 last year, but now it's bottled in Maharashtra and hence it's just 100 rupees. Kati Patang Snappy Wheat. This is 100 rupees. Just like the other Belgian styles, this is also a Belgian style, but what it does in addition to adding coriander and lemon zest or orange zest is that they add a bit of peppercorn and a bit of turmeric, so it adds up a little more spice to the beer. Then we have the Tropical Wheat by Susegado, which is 140. And lastly, we have Erdinger Weiss beer, which is 200 rupees. Now this is imported beer and imported from Germany. A very interesting thing about this particular beer is that it has yeast sediments inside. So whenever you pour this, you're always supposed to leave a little at the end because there's a little bit of yeast sediment. Roll the bottle down. So all the yeast is collected, nothing remains, and then you pour it into your glass. Some people prefer to avoid the yeast at all, so then don't pour the last little bit at all. Some people prefer to mix it along, but you should ideally never just have it with the bottle because it will just mix all the ingredients, the yeast left in it. So we've explained the different types of beers that we actually have, being ales or lagers. Here are a mix of some of the others that we have. Let's get on with it. So we have the White Owl Apple Cider Ale. Himalayan apples are used in this particular beer. So this is 90 rupees. Then you have Susegado English Ale. So it's kind of like a lager where only malted barley is used, apart from hops and water and yeast, of course, but no other wheat or any other grain is used, but it's made in an ale style of brewing. So this is 140 rupees. Then we move on to IPAs. So we have got the Arbor Beach Shack, which is 120. The 8 Finger Eddie, which is 125, and the Sossegado IPA, which is 140. Now IPAs are generally very bitter beers because they have a huge hop content in them, and although IPA snobs would say that the 8 Finger Ready is not a IPA because it's slightly sweeter as compared to the regular classic IPAs, but I think this is a great introduction for somebody who has no idea of what an IPA is or how it should taste like, to start off with this. So if somebody is usually a big fan of wheat beers but wants to get into the bitter side of things, this is what I would really recommend people to start with. As for me, this is my favorite IPA, the Beach Shack. Again, I'll tell you the prices. Beach Shack is 120, this is 125, and Sossegado is 140. Now we come to this Katipatang Zesty Ember. Now Ember Ale is like an Irish red ale style of a beer which uses predominantly roasted malts, and depending on various places where it's made from, local ingredients are sourced, and it kind of gives you like a toffee sort of a taste. So you have some cocoa, some coffee, some little bit of chocolate. These are the notes that you would get out of this beer. This is 120 rupees. Then we move on to porters. Now we have the Sossegado Vanilla Porter. Now porters and stouts are both dark beers, but the porters are slightly sweeter as compared to that of our stouts. Here only roasted malted barley is used in these particular, whereas when you talk about a stout, we use a percentage of, sometimes we use a percentage of unmalted roasted barley in the wort itself. Now this is 140 rupees. Simba Stout is 90 rupees, and the breakfast cereal stout from Goa Brewing Company is 150 rupees. This also has an addition of sleepy owl coffee which is used at the time of brewing, and that's why it gets a really creamy sort of a texture to your mouth. It's a wonderful mouthfeel. Then we move on to Saint and Sinner, which is again made by Goa Brewing Company. Now this is kind of like the beer that is made by the Trappist monks, although it is made in Goa, but it's similar in style. It uses coconut jaggery from Goa and English treacle, and hence it's robust. It's got a lot of mouthfeel. It's very bodied. It has a strong ABV of 8%, and although it says 8%, like the Amsterdam that we are going to talk about further, this also packs a punch. Now we go to Chimay Red. Now this is from the Abbey of Scormont, and it's one of the only places among the 14 where Trappist monks are making beers. So this is actually a Trappist monk beer. Saint and Sinner is made in Goa, but it is following the style of a Trappist monk beer, but this is actually from the monastery of this Trappist monk itself. This is 440 rupees. Now let's look at the lager cans that we've got in 500 ml. We got Tuborg Green, this is 65. Then we have Kingfisher Premium, 65. Kingfisher Draft, 65. Beck Size, 70. Carlsberg Smooth, 75. Copter 7 Smooth, 80. Kingfisher Ultra, 85. Budweiser, 85. Heineken, 95. Now these are all the light lagers that we've got in cans. So let's look at the strong cans that we've got. Strong lager cans we are looking at. First up, this is Tuborg Strong, this is 70 rupees. This is Kingfisher Strong, 72 rupees. This is Kingfisher Ultra Max, 90 rupees. Carlsberg Elephant, 90 rupees. Copter 7 Strong, this is 100 rupees. Budweiser Magnum, that is 110 rupees. Now we go to Amsterdam. This is brewed in Holland. This is brewed in Holland, and it is highly hoppy, and it's got sugars and jaggery sort of a finish to it. And although it just says 8% ABV, this one can knock you down. So it's something that I really like. This is 200 rupees. And then we move on to the wheat beer in cans. We've got Bira Gold, which is a strong wheat beer, and Bira White, which is a mild wheat beer. Bira Gold is 90 and Bira White is 100 rupees. We are done with beers now, and let's move on to something which everybody generally has a misconception about. We have a lot of people asking us what it is, and people really don't understand what it is. They think it's a beer or so. That is a mead and a sparkling wine. Very simple. Mead is just like a beer, but it is brewed with honey. There is no grain which is used. A beer is grain which is brewed or fermented, This is honey which is fermented. So we have here the apple cider mead. So it's just fermented honey with apple, 140 rupees. This is the coffee mead, fermented honey with coffee, 140 rupees. The traditional mead that only has honey in it, no other ingredients. And then their limited edition or a limited
price is
140 rupees.
140.
And their limited release or a seasonal release of guava chili. Now this, we have just a few bottles left and this is discontinued. And for this season we are going to get pineapple mint is what I believe we are going to receive instead of the guava chili. This is 160 rupees. Now the 4 meats are done. Let's move on to something called as a seltzer. Now the bro seltzer is just carbonated water with a dash of lime. It's low in calorie as compared to even a beer. So it's like something you can have in the afternoons. Maybe you can have one or two or even more, and it will have probably half the calories that a beer would give you. This is 90 rupees. Moving forward, now we have something called as bro code 15%. Now a lot of people get confused with this particular thing and they say that this is a beer. Now if you read very carefully, it said crafted brut, and brut means a dry sparkling wine. That's all it is. It's a wine. This is 100 rupees.
It's very strong, right?
It's strong. It's 15% ABV, so it's very strong. A strong beer is 8%, and this is double that.
Okay.
So you can definitely understand why it really gets you high. Now we go on to something called as Rio. Now Rio, again, this is a 15.5% ABV.
So it's actually more stronger than Brocode?
Yeah, slightly stronger than Brocode.
Okay.
And again, this is conceptualized as a raspberry or a strawberry flavor or anything of that sort. All this is a red sparkling wine. Like how this is Brocode is a white sparkling wine, this is a red sparkling wine. That's why it's red in color. It's a wine with 15.5% ABV. This is 110 rupees. We've covered Brocode and Rio, which are again sparkling wines at 15 and 15.5% ABV. Now we're looking at something which is not as strong as those wines, but something which are designed or made for the palate, for the taste itself. We have Tilt and Dia. These are proper wines with a 11% and 8% ABV. Start off with Tilt Red. This is a proper red still wine, not sparkling wine, still red wine. This is 150 rupees. Then we have Tilt White, white still wine, 150 rupees. Tilt Bubbly is a white wine with carbonation, 150 rupees. So it's Tilt Bubbly. And then we have a rosé with carbonation, Tilt Bubbly Rosé, 150 rupees each. This is a Noi, it's from Fratelli again, and this is 130 rupees. This is a sparkling wine from Fratelli. This is a sweeter, more fruity and aromatic in terms of floral notes, whereas these are more dry. And then we have Dia, which are again sparkling wines at 8% ABV. We have white and we have red at 185 rupees each. The idea behind putting wines in a can has been just to promote it just like an average other drink, like how we have beers, because otherwise we all think of wine as probably a sophisticated drink that you need to have an occasion, probably open it with a cork screw and take your time, have it with food. Well, this is simple. Just grab one and go enjoy your chilled wine. What we have here is something new that has come into the market just about a month back. You've all heard of grape wines, right? What you do is take grape juice and ferment it. The same exact way you can make a wine out of any fruit. Here we have something that is made out of chiku, a chiku wine that is 143 rupees. A star fruit wine, 143 rupees. Pineapple, mango and strawberry, these are 180 rupees each. So these are sparkling alcoholic beverages or alcoholic wines which are made out of individual different fruits. RTDs are what's trending right now. RTD means ready to drink mixes. So why do you have to go to a restaurant, buy a cocktail for 400, take all the ingredients home, take your time and waste your time and make the cocktails? Instead, just buy these and you're sorted. We've got 5 cocktails for you from in a can. First up we have the rum latte. Now rum latte has coffee, hazelnut and vanilla. This is 140 rupees. Next we come to Long Island iced tea. It has 5 white spirits and lime and cola. You don't have to mix all 5 of them. Just take this and you get your LIIT for 140 rupees. This is Whiskey Collins with cinnamon and apple, 140 rupees. This is gin and tonic with a bit of fresh rosemary, 140 rupees. And finally we have the vodka mule with ginger and lime, 140 rupees. What we have here is Mr. Jerry's cocktails. These are again ready to drink mixes, but of course you need to either put some ice or have to shake them, or depending on whatever cocktail you're having, you need to do some changes. I'll guide you through them. Each of them is 550 rupees and they have 500 ml bottles. So each bottle can give you up to 5 servings. First, we have the Long Island iced tea. All you need to do is take a long glass, put 100 ml of this and add some cola, and that's it. You're done with your Long Island iced tea cocktail. Next, you have the old fashioned. The old fashioned, you pour 100 ml in a glass, stir it gently with some ice, and your drink is ready. The martini generally requires your cocktail to be shaken. So you put 100 ml of your espresso martini in a shaker with ice, shake it well, and then pour it into a martini glass, and you have your espresso martini. The Mai Tai again just requires you to pour 100 ml of this in a glass and put some ice and stir it up. The cucumber and elderflower fizz requires you to add some fizz. So your choice would be either to have tonic water or soda, whatever you like. 100 ml of this with top with soda or tonic water. And then we have the midday Negroni. 100 ml of midday Negroni, a bit of ice, and light or gentle stir is all you need. 550 rupees each. This is the collection of breezers and the Bacardi Plus that we've got here. Now breezers are all at 4.8% ABV and your Bacardi Plus are 8% ABV. We have orange, cranberry, blackberry, watermelon mint and Jamaican passion, and blueberry. These are the 6 flavors that we have had in breezers. These are 80 rupees each. And in our Bacardi Plus we have orange, cranberry and lemonade, which are 90 rupees each.
So guys, thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and we will be doing many other episodes here, so please stay tuned for the new episodes, guys.